This is what the Houston Texans need to do in the 2023 NFL Draft. Ryan Wilson, Josh Edwards from With the First Pick Podcast, here to provide an ultimate mock draft for the team with the number 2 and number 12 picks. Let's jump into the old NFL mock draft database simulator. Here we go, Josh. So we're starting here at pick number 2 before we get to pick 12 here. Got some trade offers. If I'm at pick 2, who went first, Devo? Anthony Richardson went first? What? Man,
surprise.
Carolina, that's a huge surprise there. So according to the old algorithm at the NFL mock draft database, Anthony Richardson, first quarterback off the board. If that's the case, the Houston Texans, I love Bryce Young. I ain't even entertaining any trade offers. We can scroll through them if you want. What do you think? What are you doing here, Josh?
Ryan, I did it for you. That seems like an automatic reject all offers, right?
Yeah. So, Josh, I'll leave it to you. Do you want Bryce or CJ or your boy Will Levis?
No, I'm going to take Bryce. I mean, everything that we've heard through this cycle suggests that Young would probably be the pick. So no need to get off script here.
And I've heard that the Texans love Bryce. I've heard that they probably wouldn't take CJ at 2. Will Anderson has been a possibility there, so we don't have to entertain any of that because we got our guy Bryce. We're here at 12, and historically when we do these mock drafts, both you and I, Josh, I think we've come down to offensive lineman / wide receiver, but Devin Witherspoon's still sitting there, and you compare him with old Derek Stingley. I love that idea. Peter Skoronski feels like an easy pick. His future is probably at guard, although I like him at tackle just to try it out. Who are the other tackles we have on the board there, Debo? Broderick Jones is still there. Darnell Wright, if you want a right tackle. Anton Harrison, the left tackle from Oklahoma, is getting some buzz. And give us the wide receivers real quick. They probably should all be there, I would imagine. So Quentin Johnson, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, Jalen Hyatt. So that means that Jackson Smith-Njigba is probably off the board here. He went the pick before at 11 to the Titans. What are you thinking here, Josh?
What about the edge spot? Who's available?
Let's see it.
Okay.
My guy, so Lucas Van Ness. Nolan Smith. I don't know if I would take Nolan this high, and he's undersized. Will McDonough's getting some push as a first-rounder. Tommy Adebawore. I don't think Adebawore makes it into round 1. Who's below Tommy there at 42, Devo? Felix Enrique Uzama, Bijo Ojulari. All right, what do you think, Josh? Which position do we want to target?
Man, this is difficult.
So let me say this. So we got Skoronski, we got Van Ness, and we got Devin Witherspoon. I think our options, typically a cornerback hasn't gone here, but Devin Witherspoon piques my interest. But what do you think?
I didn't think I was going to go in this direction, but I think I'm leaning towards Skoronski.
Okay.
They drafted Kenyon Green a year ago, but I think just adding to that offensive line, continuing to protect Bryce Young is probably a good strategy.
All right, I'm down with that too. Let's do it, Debo. So next up, that's pick 12. Now we're pick 33. I mean, they have so many picks. They have a ton of cap space. So we're back on the clock here. Darnell Wright just went to the Steelers. So Brian Branch is still there. I love Brian Branch. Emmanuel Forbes is still there. Emmanuel Forbes has a chance of sneaking in round 1. Cam Smith, I'm not as high on him as Josh is. I know, oh my gosh, Jahmyr Gibbs is still there. All right, Keely Ringo, I'm not taking at quite this point yet. Josh, give me some thoughts here.
Yeah, I think just looking at the board right here, Brian Branch kind of stands out in terms of the value. I do love Cam Smith. I'm probably on an island in that regard, but Brian Branch, I think, is probably the unanimous, selection from draft media. If you were to look at the options available, I think he's just an incredibly intelligent player, somebody that's going to bring accountability to that secondary, even though they took Jalen Petrie a year ago. So what are your thoughts? They
got Jimmy Ward in free agency, play free safety. Brian Branch is going to be a slot guy. He can play deep if you want him to, but Desmond King is their slot guy right now, so he certainly feels the need there. We talked about Derek Stingley being their first-round pick last year. They have Steven Nelson, former Steeler, former Eagle, on the other side. And I only mention that because Emmanuel Forbes is sitting right there if you wanted to bolster that. So Emmanuel Forbes has 13 career interceptions, 6 pick sixes. That is also noteworthy, but I'm sort of with you. I think I'm leaving with Brian Branch. You don't ever think it. Ran the 4.58. I don't care about that. He plays much faster than that. So Brian Branch is our guy. Debo didn't even wait around. Next pick up is going to be pick 65 in the 3rd round. Have picked 65 and 73. And so far we have a quarterback. We got our offensive line taken care of. We got our secondary taken care of. Here we go. No trades. All right. Joe Tippmann. I like Joe Tippmann as a center. Their center situation is currently Scott Quisenberry. Not much behind him. Matthew Bergeron. look, man, if we're thinking about fixing this offensive line, we can do it pretty quickly here. Bergeron is another guy who may have to kick inside. I like him outside, though. The other needs on this team, we haven't gotten wide receiver yet. We have some interior defensive line help we need to address, edge help, and tight end. So let's look at, so the wide receivers there. Oh, boy, I love Marvin Mims. Tank Dell, I love. Tyler Scott, I love. They're all smaller wide receivers. A.T. Perry's a little bigger. Jonathan Mingo's getting some buzz, but I'm not taking him this high. What do you think, Josh, about any of these or other positions?
Yeah, so looking at the wide receiver board there a little bit, we have another pick coming up at 73. I think there's still going to be a really good option available. So I'm probably looking in a different direction. Who are the top edges available?
So Andre Carter's still there. You don't like Andre?
No, just because, coming into the year, I thought play strength was an issue for him.
Yeah.
And then to see how he tested athletically, it didn't pop the way that I needed it to. So he's fallen down the board a bit for me. In all honesty, our strategy to this point has been take the best player available because I think they have bigger needs, but just the way that the board has fallen, it's been very difficult to address them.
All right, let's see interior defensive line, Debo, and then we'll look at tight ends because that might be some value there. Oh, boy, I love me some Gervon Dexter. Oh, boy, I love Gervon Dexter. I love Zach Pickens. All right, let's get the tight ends real quick. Tucker Kraft, I like. Zach Kuntz, I don't like him quite that high. And then we're getting, like, Luke Schoonmaker could end up going to this round, but I think that's a little high at this range. What do you think about Gervon Dexter?
I'm good with that. I mean, it's a young developmental player. I think he's still got a lot to work with at the next level. I'm happy to have him. I don't think he's going to be an immediate impact player, but this is the type of athletic profile I think you take in the hopes that he does develop into one of those dominant interior defenders.
Yeah, and the thing is, when he shows up and he plays hard. The question was, from play to play, he wasn't always doing what you needed him to do, but I love the pick here too. All right, we're back on the clock. Marvin Mims, I love. Undersized, incredibly smart, can play inside and out, even though he's smaller. Return ability. What do you think? Would you rather have Marvin or Tank here? Tank Dell.
I would rather have Marvin because I think he gives you a little bit more inside-out versatility. Okay. I've also cheated a little bit. I saw some of the tight end value that could be there later in the draft process. So I think I'm pretty comfortable waiting on the tight end class. So I'm good with Marvin Mims.
All right, Marvin Mims it is, Debo. Man, this team is coming together. Next up, pick 104 in the 4th round. And we've checked off a bunch of needs here. Quarterback, wide receiver, interior defensive line. We have tight end and edge still to sort through. We got our safety.
What about that edge class? I'm still curious about the options that are going to be available.
Let's see what's
there.
available. Byron Young, I like. He's older.
I do too.
I thought he played with a high motor. Yaya Diaby, I like. KJ Henry, I like a little less. If I'm ranking these three, it's probably Young, Diaby, Henry. They have him on the board. What's below Henry, Debo? All right. Yeah, I'm not crazy about Baldonado so much at this point. I like Nick Hampton, but he's probably going to have to kick inside because he's pretty undersized. Brenton Cox has some off-field stuff that he's got to sort through. Elegay, I think, goes a little later. So 104. I like what we have in Byron Young. Let's see the tight ends real quick, Debo. And so we're still here. Luke Schoonmaker, Josh Wiley, your guy out of Cincinnati. Who's below Josh?
I think Brenton Strange is going to go much, much sooner than that, too.
Oh, interesting. How do you feel about, you want to take him at 104?
Well, what's our next pick after 104? Oh, 164. That's a big gap.
Yeah.
Man. So my choice would either be Brenton Strange or Byron Young from Tennessee. So
I just checked my my board here. I have Brenton Strange going high in the 4th. I didn't realize I had him that high. I've seen so many people. Unlike Josh, I can't remember everything. You want to go Brenton here?
I'm good with that. Let's go.
Take a chance. Tight end Brenton Strange. I'm glad you brought him up because he got lost in my old man memory bank. All right, next up, pick 161 in round 5. This pick is courtesy of the old Dallas Cowboys, and we're off. So still need edge help, and then after that, or it could be this best player available. So we'll see where we're at here. All right, so let's check out the edges when we get to. Here we come on 161. Let's start with the old edges, Debo, and see what we got to choose from. Maybe Yaya's still there. He is not. Thank you. So Fahoko Prisco will not quit talking about Fehoko. He loves Fehoko. I think 5th round is right when he starts to go off the board. I like Ochon Mathis out of Nebraska as well. I'm not a huge Dylan Horton guy. Dylan Horton's going to probably have to. He's a little too stiff. I think he's more of a late day 3 guy. DJ Johnson is who Rick and I drafted last week, in the last episode for the Colts because he loves him some DJ. And then Lige, when we had him on the podcast, was talking of Jose Ramirez out of Eastern Michigan. Any of these guys stick out to you?
Yeah, I was just laughing because every one of the sleepers that you, Rick, and Lige mentioned on the defensive line podcast is sitting right there. You've got O'Shawn Mathis,
that's a good point.
DJ Johnson. I do like Viliami Fehoko a lot. I also like O'Shawn Mathis.
All right, I'll let you be your final say.
Who are the top prospects available right now, Debo?
Oh, I like Keytrell, but we already have a corner.
I do too.
Corner slash.
Yeah. But maybe that's a guy that takes over for Desmond King.
Yeah, I'm not taking Jared Patterson. He's not that. He's not going that high for me. Neither is Kenny McIntosh. What do you think about Overshown?
I like him. I don't trust him to play in the box. I want to see him more out in space.
And they do have Christian Harris, who coming into year 2. They do have Denzel Perryman as well. All right, so you're going to make the pick here. What do you want?
I think I'm leaning Keytrell Clark.
I like it. Cornerback out of Louisville.
Yeah,
he's a lot of fun. No one talked about him, and perhaps I should have. What are you wooing about?
We got let's see, Ivan Pace probably going to be gone there. Your guy Saldivari, no shot he makes it there, right?
He's still there. I don't think so. 161 is next up again in round 5. Oh, sorry, we're to 188.
Pace is there.
He is. Yeah, Pace is there. Saldivari is there. We didn't get our off ball at the last
Keaton
pick.
Mitchell is there. Ooh. So the running back situation obviously starts with Damon Pierce, but beyond him, you have Devin Singletary, so they're probably not going to be in the business of looking for another running back, even though Keaton Mitchell has some Devin Singletary to his game, I think. You want to go Pace, or do you want to go Saldivari?
What's your conviction? I feel like I know which direction you're leaning, but I'm curious.
I mean, I'm going Saldivari here.
That's what I'm saying.
Just the versatility, interior flexibility. He's a good player.
I am always good with taking offensive linemen, so
exactly.
I'm good with that.
And especially everyone's concerned about Bryce's size. I'm not, but might as well protect him. So, all right, down to the 7th round, pick 230. Oh, we're at 201. We got a ton of picks.
Man.
I misread it. Sorry. The research guys actually had it right. I had it wrong. We're pick 201. This is from the Vikings. Okay. Yeshivas, Daniel Scott, I like at this point in the conversation, and we're doing best available. Jalen Redmond, I like at this point in terms of interior defensive line help. We still don't have an edge rusher. Is that correct?
Right.
Fehoko's still there. You want to take a gamble on Fehoko or Mathis?
I'm good with either. I think we're both probably at a better middle ground on Mathis, so we can go Mathis.
All right, let's go Mathis. We'll pass on Prisco's guy. We'll get him at 203. 2 picks from now. All right, here we go. We're back. All right, so let's just go best player, Debo, and we'll start going through this. Daniel Scott, I like. McClendon, he's another body, but we have 2 offensive linemen here. I don't hate Jalen Redmond here, just to add more beef in the middle of the defense. What's below Jalen, Debo? Braden Daniels is a good player again.
I love Braden Daniels, but
we
loaded up on the offensive line.
I say we take Braden Daniels. He can play outside. He probably plays inside in the future, but just keep drafting these guys because you have a ton of picks. In real life, I'm sure we'll end up trading a ton of these, but that's okay. All right, we're to pick 230 now. 2 picks to go. We're in round 7 down the stretch. All right, we're going to take do a Washington, formerly Redskins team and do a RG3 and Kirk Cousins here, taking 2 quarterbacks, or are we going to focus on something else? So Demas, the wide receiver out of Maryland, he has injury issues. I'm not going to target him. What are the other wide receivers, Debo? Bryce Ford Wheaton, Raheem Jarrett, Puka Nacua. I don't hate Puka Nacua here. What do you think? Jake Bobo ran a 4.99, so I think that's not going to work out well for him in terms of being a drafted player. What do you think? Wide receiver or something else?
I'm not as high on Puka Nacua, but at this stage in the draft, I would be okay with it. However, I'm probably leaning towards taking Fehoko. because
Okay.
he was still available. So double up, because I
Yep.
really think a good strategy when you get to this stage of the draft, take multiple players at multiple positions, because the reality is not all of these guys are going to pan out. So if you've got a couple in the mix to compete, and only one of them works out, even if both of them work out, it's fantastic. But if only one of them works out, I still think you're adding a very valuable player to your team.
All right. No, using that theory, Debo, go back to the edge rushers. I'm going to stand on the table for Lonnie Phelps, your guy. Had a great Senior Bowl. Is a special teams dude from the start. He actually showed a little juice in the one-on-one drills at the Senior Bowl. So I like the idea. He's quote unquote an edge rusher, but he's a special team starter from day one. You get him with your final pick in the draft. How do you feel about Lonnie Phelps?
I'm not as high on him. I didn't think that it's going to be controversial. I didn't think the effort was there all the time when I was watching him. So I will defer to you. If you want to go Lonnie Phelps here, I'm fine with it.
All right, put Lonnie Phelps in the back pocket. Debo, hit all one more time, and let's see if there's someone that Josh loves that he'd rather have. Ronnie Bell, Trey Dean, Rashawn Wright is certainly an option. Miles Brooks is also an option here at cornerback. Broderick Martin is a guy that Rick has been talking up. We may have taken him in the other draft. Oh, Cam Jones is still there. I love Cam Jones. All right, which names do you stick out to you here?
So the two that would stick out to me would be Cam Jones and Broderick Martin. I'd probably lean towards Martin, but again, I'm good with either one of them. We haven't addressed either one. Oh, we did get Gervon Dexter. So
yeah. Let's take Cam Jones here, because I think we took Broderick in the other mock draft. So let's take Cam Jones, who I would take early day 3, and that's a wrap for this draft. That's a perfect draft for the Texans here. Make sure to subscribe to NFL on CBS on YouTube and download the With the First Pick podcast. Stay tuned for more Ultimate Mock Drafts.